The Music Retail Show.
All right, hey, we are back for another episode, Richard, and this is actually our first episode that we're doing since we got back from the NAMM show.
It
So
absolutely is.
It would probably benefit us to kind of talk a little bit about why we were gone for just a couple minutes, because it was a great time. I thought.
Yeah, we did. We did some
some
updates, but those updates were very, very brief and very unorganized. And on some of them, we didn't talk very well because it was 9 o'clock in the morning. We were exhausted.
It was like 7 o'clock.
Was it? I don't know.
Well,
remember.
I guess it would have been like 9
early.
o'clock our time here, but
Yeah.
But the time difference. I just know.
But it was fun.
Needed more coffee.
It was fun. We had Raymond Boyd and we had Dave Clow on there. That was a cool episode because it was kind of fun to sit back and have a couple people. Normally we have a guest. We actually had two guests, and I thought that was fun. I want to do more of that.
Yeah, and I'm thinking next year we've got to somehow, convince Monty that we can just go out for the whole week so we can actually, do a little vacationing and have some fun.
Well, let me know how that goes.
Well, I'm gonna need to have you kind of join in on.
Well, it was rough. It was fun. It was
busy.
good. It was slam busy. I forget the exact count. Maybe we could correct myself, but I think it was like Ian was out there obviously with us, and I think he took 1,542 pictures. I think is what it is. So he was actually busy. I don't know if he just put his finger down and click, and he counted that. Yeah. But anyways, that goes towards the count, so it makes it look like he was really busy.
Yeah. And it was exciting out there this year. I mean, after we get back and you think about it, it's like, my goodness, the positivity was at a really high level, which I think is flowing into February, into March, and it's going to really kind of help about what we're talking about today, in my opinion.
I think you're right. I enjoy that. I have felt that over the last couple years personally. It used to be, and I don't want to talk a whole lot about this because I just don't like going in over the negative. It used to be the narrative, a lot of these shows with people that are at a certain age that I think that they were on the backside of their career, that everything had to be negative so they felt like they're relevant.
Yeah.
Or they knew everything or downed everybody. This year, again, another year that I felt was super positive, super productive. And that's one thing a lot of the older generation, and I'm going to kind of probably bash on them a little bit, the older generation talks about the younger generation.
Experienced.
Yeah, experienced. They say they don't work like we used to. Well, I'm glad because they work a lot harder in my opinion. We dealt with people that were in the now generation that worked their rear ends off. They were very professional. They were writing. It was amazing. It was a breath of fresh air to me, and I was super excited. Yeah. Loved the show.
Yeah, it was great.
The NAMM show.
The NAMM show.
If we didn't say it, we're talking about the Winter NAMM show.
Sorry, I kind of assumed everybody knew what we were talking about. So, but man, the weather was great. It was just, people seemed to be very nice. Man, it's obviously too, even the people watching out there. Like I was telling Ian, it's just kind of like, if anybody thinks that like metal is dead, they're dead wrong.
Oh my God,
they're dead wrong. If you're not carrying some kind of like Ibanez or some kind of like guitar that's appealing to that, there's a ton of them out there.
There's a ton of it. There's a lot of great guitars out there that do appeal to the heavy rock. I thought you were referring to the people, because let's talk about them for a few seconds, and we won't stay there very long. There is some outfits that they should have put in their closet and left 20 years ago. Well, because they don't fit the same.
Yeah,
and we can leave that to everybody's imagination.
It's a good.
Some people just don't look as good as they think they do.
Well, it's a good opportunity for people to relive the glory days, I guess.
Man, Stevie Wonder is lucky because he couldn't see it.
He couldn't.
Man,
speaking of,
we're gonna have people bash that
there,
going. What are you? Well, anyways, go ahead.
I don't. No. That's all I'm saying. I think it was good, and of course, I think that there was a lot of positivity that kind of flew into that. I actually had some of my clients that were part of the NAMM teaching sessions. That they were part of the Idea
Mark
Center.
Maxwell. Is that
Mark
who we're
Maxwell,
talking about?
And then Tim from Piano Trends actually taught a class in the Idea Center. this year and felt like it was, they were very excited about doing that.
Which they had tons of educational stuff.
Yes, and actually a lot of times we walked by that, it was slammed full when the speakers
there
were
was
there.
a couple hundred people at least in everything that we've seen.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that I think are thinking about, I think they walked away from the NAMM show thinking about how can they improve their business this year, which is exactly what we're going to talk about a little bit from the philosophy standpoint. So,
and I think part of that is I know from my standpoint, you're going to talk about things and I'm going to talk about things, and they're going to be slightly different but kind of on the same page. I'm going to probably get a little bit more in personal stuff, not personal like my home life and things of that nature, but personally what I want to accomplish. You're going to do some of that, but you're also going to be talking a little bit of business stuff too, and of course I am too. But you coming back from the NAMM show was good because I felt like I seen that you heard other manufacturers that we deal with, they were talking about how to be successful and how to hold people accountable. You were hearing some of the same things that we talked to on the same basis, and I could see that could be very refreshing because it's not just us. Is that accurate?
That's exactly accurate. And to be honest with you, it's kind of a sticky subject. It's a tough thing to deal with, because when you have a manufacturer sitting there going, hey, every 6 months to 12 months, we go through and we call off the bottom 5% of our customers because they're wasting our time. That's a big deal. And to be able to take that and implement that into your philosophy,
you know why it's a big deal?
Tough thing to do.
Because a lot of people don't think it's really happening. And I'm not talking about, I'm talking about upper end manufacturers. We're not talking about some of the lower tier manufacturers, but the upper end A-line dealers or manufacturers, they are examining their dealer base and saying, how much does it cost us to do business with some of these people because they are not matching what we want to accomplish.
That's exactly
And so
right.
a lot of people look at even what we do as a company and say that we're being hard or stringent. No, we're the easiest company. We are actually too easy.
Oh, that's right. And even in fact, one of the manufacturers says, why are you not doing this to the level they are? And we're like, what? Well, we're a little bit different. It's a different monster, but the concept's the same.
Absolutely.
The concept is the same. So we actually, today, we're going to try to talk about philosophy.
Yeah.
Philosophy from a daily routine to a business practice. But I looked up a quick definition of philosophy, and it says what determines your business practice.
Okay.
So what is your philosophy as business owners going into 2019? Hey, the question now is hey, those of you who are listening here, what are you going to do this year? You got to make a plan, you got to have goals, but what is kind of your philosophy from a daily routine even to a business practice of what you're going to do?
Yeah, and a lot of people are probably asking, why are we talking about this? A big part of the why behind that is it is the first part of the year, and that's a lot of times when this is a good topic to have.
Yeah.
In the summer or towards the end of the year, everybody goes, oh man, I'll worry about that next year. So why we're having this conversation is something that we need to have often. Even throughout the year, we need to have this conversation. But we are the first part of the year. We're still in the first quarter, and we truthfully need to sit down and take inventory, not of the manufacturers and our bills and all the other stuff that we've talked in the past, but I need to take inventory of myself.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I want to reflect today.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I thought an overarching theme of what we can talk about today is part of philosophy is reassessing your core values as a business.
You sound very smart today.
Well, I know. I was just thinking. I was trying to get
because
some
my stuff
staple.
don't have any definitions. It doesn't have any. You sound very intelligent today. Have I told you that before?
Well, it's amazing what you can look up on Google. I was wanting to try to get a definition. I will admit,
you're trying to be serious and trying to be focused.
That's right.
I'm with you. I'll play along.
But it is going to boil down to some of the things that you want to talk about, like, hey, something simple like, hey, are you writing a daily plan? And if you're not, you need to start doing that. But But reassessing your values as a business, why, just as an overarching theme, why do you think that would be good? Everybody needs to think about.
Well, let's back up and talk about the daily plan. I mean, that is something that over the last couple of days has been part of my thought process, and sometimes, I may not be the smartest guy around, but I do reflect on things. I do sit back and think about things, and I would consider myself a thinker, and so I think, and I come to the realization, which is very obvious, that I accomplish so much more when I write things down and I structure my day and have a daily plan. Because a lot of times, and it's kind of fun, secretly it's fun, is I like just a shotgun approach. Just come in and make something happen, or let it happen, or whether it's talent or experience or some kind of skill, react when something happens. It's kind of fun. I hate saying it that way because it's not always the best way, but I know for me that I honestly need to have a daily plan written out, and then when I'm done at the end of the day, a lot of times I could look back and go, wow, I accomplished a whole lot more today. Where sometimes today when I don't, I may go, man, I forgot to do this, I forgot to do that. I was supposed to send this email back, I was supposed to call this person, to where writing it down is something that I am going to make a very big intention to do on a daily basis this year.
How often do you think you accomplish the things you write down on your daily plan?
Accomplish it? Well, I would look at it as I could probably easily accomplish at least 80% of what I write down, if not 100%. Now, how many times do I actually write it down and do it? I don't know if that's a two-part question, but I would say probably half of the time. So I'm missing out on half of the week, that extra productivity, or I may be productive, but I'm productive in other areas that may or may not be the areas that I need to focus on. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, and I'm just trying to get feedback from you as far as I
feel like I'm in the principal's office.
Yeah, you are busted. No, it's like, so some, people who are sitting here listening to this and trying to think about, okay, what are things I can do? Hey, you know what? I haven't been doing a daily plan. I need to do that. But what else could be deflating is you sit there and you write down 15 things, and then you only got to number 2 that day, and you're looking at, crap, there's 13 things I never even did.
I approach it differently. I do it because I don't want to necessarily beat myself up. I'm not doing it to write it down and be like a superhero in the morning when I write it down. It's I frame out my day. It helps keep me in line. So it may be 6 things. What is the 6 most important things that I could do today? And then I may write a couple other things. If I get this done, I'll tackle this. So it's not a really hard list, and at the end of the day, if I don't accomplish it, I beat myself up. It's to keep me focused. It's so I can mark things out that I need to accomplish. So I think what we need to do is we need to start easy. We need to be nice to ourselves. We don't need to beat each other up, but you write down things that are super important, things that you absolutely want to accomplish. Maybe start with 2 things, 4 things. Like I said, I usually do about 6. And sometimes it might be 12, but I want to write at least about 6 things down. And then a lot of times below that, I'll write a couple extra things.
And I guess some of this could be kind of an overarching things on your list. It's like if something on the 6th on your list doesn't get done, it can be number 1 on the next day.
Yes, absolutely.
It's just reoccurring things that need to kind of be on there, being top of mind, things that you need to accomplish. So,
and another thing, and not to interrupt, I think we need to do is we need to take opportunity of time. Like for myself, a lot of times before I even come to work, I'm working. I work outside of here because I don't have a lot of the interruptions and a lot of the things. And so during that time, I may have an hour or an hour and a half, and I know in that time I could pick out things where I could be super productive. A lot of times it's responding to emails because I don't have interruptions, and I can get to them right now. And then it sets my day up. And a lot of times it might be 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm shooting off emails, so it could be on the West Coast. And so they don't even see it yet. it. But when they walk in the door, they have something from me, and then they can respond when they get a chance to. And then a lot of times, my time, it'll be, say, 10 o'clock, which is maybe 8 o'clock their time. I can get a response back.
Yeah.
Well, then that kicks it in motion. But if I wait until I think that they're in their office on the West Coast, and then I get tied up and do something else, at the end of the day, I'm like, I didn't send them an email. And then it prolongs it another day. So point of all that is when I think about it, do it.
Do it.
Don't wait till later. If it's a response that takes 30, 45 seconds, do it right now. And that's something that truthfully, I feel like I have learned from what I call the younger generation. I think they're better than any generation as far as response, because they're so used to texting back, and shooting emails and corresponding that way. I feel like I have learned from the younger generation to do it right now.
No, absolutely. They want an immediate response,
Yes.
so they give an immediate response. And
Yes.
Now, as you're kind of hashing out a little bit of your philosophy of that. Now, as business owners, let's say somebody says, "Yeah, that's something I need to be doing a daily plan." Do you think that that's something that then they need to implement everybody in their business?
I think
Should
that's
their employees be doing the same
I think
thing?
that's a great idea, because part of, and I was going to get to it later, but I think I'll touch on it right now, is that's also a good way for them to be a mentor as well. Mm-hmm. They can educate their staff. They can teach their staff how they need to be, which is part of being an owner, in my opinion. But it also gives immediate results.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, that's a great point. I mean, if you are going to take the time to reassess the philosophy, or reassess the core values of your business, do you think a business owner should have a mentor?
Should have?
Should have.
Man, absolutely. Absolutely.
You always need to be growing. I'm kind of thinking
Absolutely.
that's every business owner should never be thinking that they're out on an island all by themselves.
No.
They should
Absolutely.
always be involved.
When you said, should they have a mentor, I just started thinking about who I find in my life, people that are go-to, that I, this week, I texted somebody who's a friend, who's very knowledgeable in certain fields, and I said, "Man, when you get a chance, I need to talk to you." Mm-hmm. No hurry is what I said. Maybe 20 seconds later, bam, my phone rang.
Yeah,
and it was a great conversation. Mm-hmm. But he was a mentor. He was a friend. He gave me great advice, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
I never, ever, ever want to think that I know it all. I've done it all. I've been there.
Yeah.
I constantly, every single day of the week, every hour of the day, I just want to learn. I want to get better. I want to learn how to do what we do more and more and more. It doesn't matter how long you've been in the industry. It doesn't matter how much experience. I heard something last night. I was watching some things not related to music, and there was a gold medalist, a guy. I think he won 3 gold medalists. Gold medals. I could be wrong, but he came into another situation as a wrestler, and he went in and he was learning from somebody. And the whole thought was he comes in and asks questions. Now, he's asking questions from people that maybe have been to the Olympics.
Yeah.
They may not have got there yet. They may just be great at being a wrestler. But he was constantly asking questions because he was constantly want to grow, constantly want to learn, and realize even with 3 gold medals, he doesn't know everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm thinking, too, a lot of times, I bet you business owners, especially in the music world, man, actually, we've done podcasts in the past where that was one of the reasons why we've been such big champions of NAMM is
Yes.
people need to be involved. They need to have community. They need to have support. They need to have that. But man, I'm telling you what, I mean, even from sometimes you got to step outside your own little world, and have a conversation with somebody that can look from the outside in on maybe what's going on and give sound advice.
Man, I think that I agree 100%. I mean, I think as business owners, a lot of times that we don't realize that we are in a bubble and we don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we have employee issues, we have financial issues. The summers kick our butts a lot of times because there's not as much traffic, and we're going and going, and we're exhausted, and we're beat up. It's just hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. And sometimes what you need is, whether it's a rep, whether it's somebody at your church or somebody on your softball team or somebody in whatever field, wherever you want, that needs to be that safe place, that person that you go to ask questions, to get encouragement. And so, yeah, please seek that out. If you don't have that, look around. I think that's something that that even we as a company do. I mean, we deal with a lot of customers, obviously, and that's something that we focus on.
Yeah.
Having a relationship with our dealers, because a lot of times they don't have anywhere to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know how business goes, but things become very personal.
Yes.
And it's hard to sometimes make decisions. You might, just off the top of my head, you might have an employee that, it's very personal because either you like them as a friend or they've been around the family for years, but they're not productive. And so you might need some outside advice on how do I handle this, because I'm not moving forward in my business, but also at the same time, I feel like I have some kind of connection with this person.
Absolutely.
What am I supposed to do? And you need to get outside of your world and seek advice on that. So, but I don't know. These are all, as a word you said earlier, we're trying to provoke thought.
Yes.
We're trying to say, hey, listen, this is a good time, beginning of the year. It's time to reassess your business, reassess what you're doing. But, let's get a little bit more. What are some things that you do maybe on a daily basis outside of, once you got past your plan, what are some other things that you try to do that lend towards the philosophy of how we conduct business?
Well, I think a lot of it, we touched on it a little bit, is learning.
Yeah.
I really, really try to learn from those around me, whether it's reading books. I know it's silly that we're doing a podcast, but I'm going to mention listening to podcasts. So I listen to stuff mainly that's outside of our field.
Yeah.
I find for me personally, the most encouragement and the best information that I gather is from certain podcasts outside of what we do.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of that. Mentors, you're talking about mentorship. So I have a few people in my life that I can lean on. Unfortunately, I don't do enough of that. That's an area that I need to improve on, because I think sometimes I get in my own bubble and you just kind of want to push through. But I need to reflect on that a little bit more. Something that is a little bit different, that may or may not even be a topic to bring up, is personal time.
Yeah.
And escaping all of it, unplugging from it all. I think in those days it refreshes my mind a lot.
Yeah.
I have a place to go to with my cabin where a big part of it, I don't have cell service, I don't have cable. I have TV, but I watch Little House on the Prairie.
Get the Little House on the Prairie series. You can watch that.
Yeah, but it's good. It's fun.
Or Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, we're Happy Gilmore. I love Adam Sandler. But a lot of it is that kind of stuff. I think it's very good, because during those times I find myself thinking a lot. Again, I go back to being a thinker, and I just think, what can I do better? How can I do this? Or I may watch something or hear something, little tiny tidbit, and then that again provokes thought to where I start thinking about something completely different. But if I never heard that or never read it, it would never be reflective in my life.
Yeah, absolutely. And even what I do on a daily basis, I want to try to understand how business is being done. And a lot of that is social media. Hey, I listen to a couple different podcasts on social media. Now, I don't do it so that I could go, I've got to go do all of that, but I want to be able to understand, or I want to be able to have educated conversations with even my clients about potentially what they're doing, because at the end of the day, there is a lot of business, and I want to encourage them. If their philosophy is, of doing business is to try to brand or market themselves in a certain way as a, quality used guitar company, then great. I want to be able to give suggestions or be able to understand what they're saying back to me. And so learning's not necessarily always so that we can do something, but learning in our situation
So we can help
might
others.
We can help others.
Yeah.
So we can be a part of that conversation and encourage them. And
I think it's equally important.
Yeah. So
I mean, truthfully, a lot of what I try to learn is so I can give.
yeah.
So I can give back. Whether it's employees, whether it's store owners, whether it doesn't matter. I try to learn so I can give back. So I agree with that.
Yeah. I just think that's smart, because a lot of times there is so much information out there. There's just no way you're going to be able to take it all in and apply it in your life. But obviously, that can be able to help other people. So,
yeah.
But now, as far as, these are a little bit more personal things, I don't know. I'm sitting here thinking that, if we're going to reassess our values of how we do business, I mean, is this a good time to go back? And I'm sitting here thinking, hey, if we're here to provoke thought for people who are listening to this, we need to talk about like, hey, are you going back and reassessing how did you handle your employees? How did you handle the marketing of your company? Are you going back and doing this? This is a good time of year to be doing this just in general?
I think it is. I mean, yes, I do. I think it's a great time. I always go back to saying not only this time, but all the time.
Yeah.
That's something that we have to be very mindful. But it is a great time because we all need a starting point.
Yeah.
I think that's why, at the beginning of the year, that's why gyms and aerobic places are full of people because that's the starting point. Everybody's, the holidays, they may gain a few extra pounds in there. After the New Year's, I'm going to start my membership back up. So we all need a starting place, and that starting place could be today.
Yeah.
It needs to be whenever we could do it, but I think it needs to be now. So absolutely, I think it's a starting place.
Yeah, and I think it always, you can always go back, and I think a lot of people are reassessing that 2018. It was a good year.
Yeah, it was.
17 was a tough year. I mean, in the guitar industry with all the CITES and everything that was going on. So 18 was refreshing, and I know a lot of people that were up business-wise and from 17 to 18. But you know what? This is a perfect time to start reassessing to what are you going to start doing. We did a podcast earlier last spring, that said, are you making goals? Are you making plans?
Yeah, we've talked about it a few times.
And we need to be doing that.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I don't think it's something that we just do once and be done with it. I think it's something that we need to talk about all the time. I mean, we always need to be self-reflective, and that's what I was talking about. More of what I'm doing today is reflecting on myself.
Yeah.
A lot of the things that you're talking about today is reflecting on yourself, but is also to reflect on other people and how we can encourage other people. I think they're both a great way to approach it. It's a little bit different. For myself, today I'm just a little bit more internal, so to speak.
Yeah.
With me, I need to work on certain things so again I can give back certain things.
Yeah.
The daily plan is something that even though I'm admitting that I need to do more of it, hopefully there's somebody out there that goes, that's a good idea. I need to do it as well. Or there's somebody saying he's right. I need to do it more. And some people going, hey, I've got this one. I can scratch it off. I do it every day.
Yeah. And we want to be encouraging too at the same time. But what I'm trying to do with a lot of my clients right now is try and tell them like, hey, there's no better time than now to realize that you can do better this year than you did last year.
Absolutely. And the hard part is the hard part I think a lot of times is when somebody is doing really good business, I think they question, can I do more business? And it's a good question. It's a good assessment. It's something that is true, but I think a lot of times those people actually have the means to actually do more.
Yeah.
Because they've been disciplined. They've done all these things in their business to become very successful.
Yeah.
So there's no glass ceiling. No one is going to tell them they can't do more money.
Yeah.
And that's what we all need to realize. Nobody is going to stop you.
Yeah.
And we all need to make a personal decision. How can I do better this year? How can I do better right now? How can I be a better store owner? How can I be a better husband or wife or father or mentor? How can I be better in all of this stuff? Who's going to tell you you can't?
Yeah.
I won't. I'll cheer you on.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of times we tell ourselves that.
Yes.
We tell ourselves that. And I'm hearing a lot, a lot of times people, you hear from, store owners, they're like, oh man, I remember when, back in 2006, I used to sell the 150 of these guitars. Now, now I'm not, I'm hearing less and less of that. Times are changing. And I think right now, man, we're at a better time than ever to be positive, to be moving forward, and to be growing your business. I mean, I heard yesterday one of my clients said they've grown by over 30% for 3 years in a row.
That's crazy.
I mean, that's great.
So they sold one guitar, and now they sell three, and they sold
yeah. Well, hopefully that's not what they meant.
That's not okay. I just want to make sure because.
Actually, that would be 300%.
Yeah, that'd be 300%.
Hey, this is not a math class.
Yes. Thank God.
I know, absolutely. So, but
so they sold a neck. They had a whole guitar, and they sold 30% of it. They sold a neck.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Hopefully, people see the humor in this.
I doubt it, but go ahead.
So, but I would say too, as business owners, I do wonder. Your business is only going to be as successful as you can get your employees to buy into it.
I think that's part of it. I agree with what you're saying. I think first of all, and I think you would agree with this, that your business is partly only going to be successful as you position yourself and allow yourself.
Yeah.
Because I think it starts with you. Yeah. And then it starts with the employees. Then it starts going outward. A lot of times, I heard something, I don't know, it was a couple weeks ago. There was a music store in a certain area. And then the salesman was like, I used to do business with this store, and they were talking about the area was horrible, and there's not a lot of money in the area, and I can't do this because of that. And then they went out of business. Well, actually, a guy came in and bought them.
Okay.
They came in and bought that store. They changed the name, and now they're through the roof. They're selling the heck out of everything.
Yeah.
And what was it? His attitude.
Yeah.
It was all in his attitude. He was like, man, I need more product. I need to put more in here. I could sell more. And that is a big part of it. So if you are a store owner that your attitude is defeated every day, how do you expect your employees to accomplish what you think that they should be accomplishing?
Yeah.
I mean, it's always one of those things that you have to look at yourself first and then make sure that your mind is correct. Make sure that your attitude is correct. You truly have to be a cheerleader for your employees. You're the boss. You could hire them. You could fire them. You could do all this crazy stuff, but you need to be a cheerleader.
Yeah.
You need to be the one that is leading that team.
Yeah.
And with that, you have to have your mind right. You have to encourage yourself or have other people encouraging you. You have to learn. You have to grow. There's all these steps that we're talking about that you have to take on yourself, and with that, then I think that's how you become a successful store owner.
Yeah. And the philosophy of your business really you have to keep it in context. If you kind of want to have this boutique kind of store that sells high end, guitars or gets nice amps in or whatever, it's got that certain vibe. And then you go out and hire an inexperienced person trying to pay him $7.50 an hour, you're probably not going to get that. You're not going to get that same attitude back out of your employee.
No, and why would you?
No. Yeah, you wouldn't. But, sometimes, people feel like, well, it's all I have. It's the only people around. The hiring pool's not very good. So, sometimes I think people want to have a good philosophy, but then they get negative feedback from their surroundings, and sometimes it can overtake them.
I agree. Yeah, I understand that.
How do we combat that?
Well, we're hiring right now. I mean, so I just literally walked out of interviewing people. Mm-hmm. So I understand the bad thing about having a good economy is the pool of people is less and less. Mm-hmm. When we have a bad economy, the line's out the door with people that are giving me resumes. Mm-hmm. So I understand that philosophy, but I have to be better at interviewing people, better at spotting talent, better at mentoring people, better at grooming people, because we have to have an end game in. We have to look at them and go, hey, is this the right person that has the right culture for our business? Yeah. If not, got to run the ad a little bit longer. And a lot of people don't want to do that. They go, well, I'm going to waste another week. Maybe, but would you rather waste 6 months and hire the wrong person and lose thousands of dollars in sales or waste another week. And it's not a waste.
Yeah.
The best investment you can make is hire the right person.
Yeah, and hiring the right person, obviously, they got to understand your approach to business. They got to understand how you do business, and I guess that's the hard part of hiring people is you get people walking off the street. They can promise the world.
Sure, yeah,
they can say all the right things. You have a lot of people that are really good at interviewing or going to interviews, but it doesn't necessarily translate. So,
and I'm really good at doing interviews too. You know what I do? I call them back twice, sometimes 3 times. Sometimes I ask them the same question multiple times.
Yeah.
And sometimes I catch them telling me the truth.
Telling different things.
Yes. Today I walked out and I said, you know what? I'm glad that nobody came in drunk today.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have interviews with the same problems that you have. Sometimes it's even worse.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was going to tell a story, but I'm not going to tell a story.
I don't know.
Let's
Maybe
get off this topic. What else we got?
I don't know. We're talking about.
Well, let me tell a story. So, a handful of years ago, I was interviewing for a salesman. This is true, man. It was probably, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5. I don't remember. It was a while ago. So I'm sitting in my office and I'm looking through. I'm trying to be professional and looking through the applications to ask good questions and all this. And a hearse drives in, and I'm like, what the heck is that? And this guy gets out, and he has a polyester suit on.
Yeah.
And he's walking to the front door, and I'm like, oh no. We can't be doing this. I got 2 stories. But anyways, so he comes in and he comes in for an interview drunk as a skunk. It was awesome. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, nobody is going to believe this unless you see it.
Yeah.
And man, he
had a hearse.
He had a hearse and he gets out with a polyester suit. It was like Starsky and Hutch type clothes, man. It was crazy. And that was something that I'll never, ever forget. But another one that I think it's probably the most shocking interview that I've ever had is we had a gentleman came in and he worked for another big company. And so a big part of a barometer of someone's personalities is up front. We have a couple ladies that are sitting there, secretaries, and they're doing administrative stuff. And there's a couch there, and they talk to people, and they're very nice. They're very nice, and it's a good situation. And I walk up front, and you can almost feel the tension. And I'm like, and I get up, and it's just like dead silence. And I'm like, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
And this guy comes back, and he is like a very, very aggressive personality.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there interviewing him, and he's telling me, he goes, I would be your top salesman. I could outsell anybody on your staff. No one could hold a candle to. He started going off on this, and I'm thinking in my head, I could never hire this guy because the other salesmen would hate his guts.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work. It's just not a good fit. And so I'm real polite with him, and I'm thinking in my whole time in my head, I've got to get this guy out of my office. This is not going to work. So I do that, and then I go and take him up to the front, and he walks out the door. And as soon as I did, the ladies up there go, I hope you're not going to hire him. That guy's a jerk, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, I said, well, I know, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
And then so he called back, and hey, has he made a decision? I was in the process of interviewing other people. It takes a handful of days. It takes time. And I did this, and I'm like going, this guy, he called a couple times, and I'm like, man, he's going to keep calling. So I sent him a very, very nice professional email that said, I've decided on another gentleman. I wish you the best.
I remember.
I wish you the best, and right. I'm sure you're going to find a great job that's a great fit. I'm being Mr. PC.
Yeah.
And you know how he responds?
Yeah.
F you. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
The funny thing is what if I would have hired this guy?
Oh, I know.
And so when we go back to hiring and firing, we talking about owning a music store, and we talk about why are we not successful. A lot of times we're not successful because of the decisions that we make. Mm-hmm. Now, as soon as I had this guy in my picture, I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work. I got another story. And then
That's great.
This is fun. And then he comes back and then he starts routing everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm like going, there is no way that this guy would fit in.
Yeah.
Customers would hate him.
Yeah.
After a while, salesmen would want him out of here.
Yeah.
So how does that help the team?
Yeah.
How does that help the company?
The hang's got to be a part of it.
No, the hang is 90% of it. And so with that, like I said, the girls up front immediately, I hope you're not going to hire this guy.
Yeah. He read like how to be hired on a job in 3 easy steps or something. He read some kind of book
but I
like
saved
that.
his email. And so I think it's funny. All right, one more story. So I was interviewing another guy, and this was for the repair shop.
Yeah.
And, a lot of times we get guys, there's nothing wrong with being confident. Sometimes I'm confident.
Sure, confidence
I try
is
not
always
to be
good.
cocky.
Yeah.
There's a difference. Sometimes I'm cocky, but I try not to be. I don't want to come across as that. Anyway, so this guy comes back and he starts telling me what a great repairman he is.
I remember this.
I would be the best repairman that you have.
Yeah.
I could do more. I could do it better. I've not only repaired guitars, but I've been in the furniture industry. I think it was 20 years. And he started going on. And I could teach these guys something. And I'm just sitting there going, man, we've got some good employees.
Yeah.
We've got some great repairmen. And I'm not going to let some guy come off the street that I don't even know bash our guys.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. And so I had a choice. And I've done this before. And the first choice was get out of my office.
Yeah.
Get out of here. And I know that sounds harsh, but I've done that before. Or I can have a little fun.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit ornery, and I was going to have a little fun. So I walked out to the shop, and the gentleman who was leading the shop, I said, hey, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to set up a bench, and I'm going to have this guy do a repair. He didn't know I was doing that. Man, he locked up. And it scared you could tell that it scared the crap out of him.
Yeah.
And I told the guy running the shop, I said, hey, he thinks that he can do repairs better than any of us. And man, he was like,
Dude, he had to be starting sweating bullets.
He was. And he just had that look.
What did you ask him to do?
No, well, I don't remember. But then he went into the shop to grab something, and then that guy goes, hey, I need to talk to you. And I said, yeah, what's that? And he goes, I can't do this. I don't want to do this, and I think you're right. You've got some good repair guys.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time. And he sticks his hands out, shakes my hand, and just walks to the front door. And then Ryan was the gentleman. He comes out, and he's like, where's he at?
Yeah.
And then I told him the story.
Maybe he would have been a good repair guy, but his approach to the whole thing is what blows it.
Well, and I think the takeaway for all of this for me is protect who you have. And have faith in you. I mean, we have some great repair guys, some good people. Why am I going to let some guy that I don't even know bash them, cut them down, talk about he might have been better than a lot of the guys. He probably was.
Yeah.
But, it's kind of like one of those things like siblings, they fight, and they beat the heck out of each other. But when someone else wants to fight them, they're going to gang up on him and kick his butt. It's kind of the same thing. So back to all that, I don't even know the question that you asked, but I'm going to act like I know. Getting back onto that, having employees, hiring the right employees, getting them in your job.
Yeah.
I think those are a couple little illustrations on why it's so important.
Yeah, well, in the question...
Did I answer the question? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I told a few stories, and I feel better about myself.
They were great stories. And when the conversation was
if anybody wants that email, I'll send it. But I just know I'm not saying F you to them. But anyways, go ahead.
Well, the conversation was about... hiring employees that have the same philosophy as you.
Yeah.
You can't, you have to keep it in context. You can't hire people that totally disagree with you. And I'm just saying, reassessing, as people are reassessing, how they do business, how can they improve their business, how can they build business going forward, employees is a huge proponent to that.
Man, I tell you what, employees is one of the most... It's one of the best tools you can have. Mm-hmm. Good people. If you have good people, man, it's it's huge. It's huge. You have to have good people.
Yeah.
You know, as a store owner, you can leave the building and you can have good people taking over, and they have your best interests at heart.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got a, and I say a kid, I think he's, probably 30, 31 years old. We were talking about this in a salesman meeting the other day, and we brought it up, and I said, one of the reasons, many reasons, but one of the reasons I really like this guy is he's always putting the business first.
Yep.
And that's powerful. That's huge. I will do anything I possibly can for this kid.
Yeah.
Anything. Why? Because when he does something and he makes a decision, he is thinking about the company that he works for. That's a great attribute. That is something that we need to surround ourselves in music stores. If we want a successful music store, a big part of it is us being successful in our mind, but also hiring people that want to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also one of the other things that I think we need to touch on is if your philosophy is to be a successful business, to be a positive, ethical, moral business, then this day and age, businesses got to think about how they can get involved with charity.
Yeah, I mean, charity, I agree.
Giving back is something every business needs to think about.
I agree. I think something that is kind of interesting is, and I actually just brought this up in an interview, and a lot of times some of my interviews has nothing to do at times with the job, but it's more of exactly what we're talking about today, philosophy. Is I want to know what makes that person tick. They may not be mature enough to where they've gotten to that point, but if it's in their DNA and a little bit comes out, I know that there's hope, for them as an employee. So with that, brought up charity. And I told this kid, because he was a kid, he was young, I said, one thing that I have learned, and I'll back up and tell you the why behind all this, is I said, I have learned that I need to give with no expectations.
Yeah.
Because why I said that is because he said, I want to give and be more of a giver, and that could be anything. We automatically think money. It doesn't have to be money. He says, I want to be a giver, but sometimes things make me upset because, and he listed out a host of reasons. And I said, if you want to be a strong mind, and if you want to overcome this, you have to give with no expectations.
Yeah.
And so today, us as a company, and this is to me, we're laying down the groundworks of things that will hopefully blossom as a company in the next couple years, 2 years, 5 years, 3 years, I don't know. But we're laying out the groundwork, and that's dealing with charity. And so what we're trying to do is to not only, I know for myself, not only to give, but also teach people how they need to give.
Yeah.
Hopefully in this path that we're on, it's to give with no expectations. Because if I can give with no expectations, I don't get angry. I don't get mad.
Yeah.
I don't even expect someone to say thank you.
Yeah.
I talked to this young man and I said, I open up a door for somebody, and if they don't say thank you, I don't let it bother me.
Yeah.
Why? Because my goal is to improve myself as well as to be a gentleman and be courteous to them.
That's right.
Because a lot of times how it started was I had a son and a daughter that was watching me. And it goes back to being a mentor. That was a quiet way of mentoring and leading them, because I want my son to respect women, to be kind to people, open doors for people, to help people, and I want my daughter to do the same thing with no expectations.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, if you're opening a door, obviously if you're opening a door to get a thank you, you've got to go back and reassess.
You do
how you approach everything.
I agree. I want to open that door again to be kind, but I also want to do it to strengthen myself. That's what I get from it, is to know that I could be mentally. I do it for the right reasons. The right reason is because I want to be a gentleman.
Yeah.
That I care. And I think charity is a big thing. We give as a company, and again, I say we as a company, we come together and do a lot of charity work that is awesome.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it this morning. I was thinking about the things that we do to help other people. And the opportunities that we have to help other people. And yeah, we're doing great things for other people and they're benefiting, but how much are we benefiting? I'm looking back and going, man, this helps me. It encourages me. It gets me excited when I see somebody else excited. It helps me be, again, a stronger person. It helps me focus on things that really, really matter. It helps me not to think business every day, all day. It lets me be a human being.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah, I mean, the core. If you're reassessing the core values of your business, I mean, my goodness, I would have to say, man, as a business owner, are you assessing how much you give back? Because as a business owner, a lot of times our philosophy is, hey, what can I get out of? I get people in my store.
That's most of business, and that is something that being around people like that they do everything to get. I'm getting a little uptight right now because it really kind of makes me mad. So I was thinking about this, and I want to get off that topic because it gets me upset. But I was thinking about another reason why we should give as like an employer is look at people that is on your staff and what do they care about. So we're doing something currently that, and this sounds bad, and I don't want it to sound bad, is so we go to nursing homes and we sing for nursing homes. People that are at the end of their life. It's sad. And again, this sounds bad. I don't want it to sound bad. Unfortunately, I don't have the level of compassion that I need for this class of people. And when I say class, I don't mean it in a demeaning way. This age group, that's probably a better way.
That stage of life.
But I do have an employee that cares in spades for older people. So why it continues? Well, we have several people, but one person in particular, why I want to see it continue is for the betterment of that person. And it's a she. So she can be part of what we do. So she can contribute and she can feel good. So again, that comes back to being a mentor, a leader, whatever you want to call it. I don't always want to go, we're going to do this because it satisfies me.
Yeah.
I want to always look out. And again, it goes to giving and not expecting. So we do something, it benefits people that can't help themselves.
Yeah.
It's a great thing. But I could see the glow in a person's eyes and the endearment that they have for the company that they work for. That is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And
and she's not going to listen to this, so
she's not.
So she's not going to listen.
That was a requirement. No.
But if she is, Jenny, we love you.
Yeah, you're an amazing human being.
Yes,
absolutely. But and part of charity too, a lot of times is being aware of the opportunities around you.
Absolutely.
Because my gosh, I mean, we all know they're everywhere. And as business owners, you do have unique opportunities to get involved in your local community.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be something huge. It might be it might even be something to where hey, the philosophy of your business is hey, this year I'm going to try to figure out how I can help 10 people that can't afford to take lessons to make sure they have a guitar in their hand and they can take lessons.
That's a great thing. As a store owner, man, you could do something. That's a great thing. I'm glad you brought that up. We can think about things that doesn't really cost us any money or very little money.
Very little. Yeah.
But what do you offer that you can actually reach out into your community? Several years ago, we gave a guitar away when somebody did a certain amount of money. And I won't get into the details of it because it was a real negative situation. And somebody, the detail that I will give is someone says, I don't want this guitar. And I thought, the good that you can do with it? You could give it to a mom that has a child that wants to play guitar that you can't afford it.
Yeah.
You can give it to them and it doesn't cost you a penny.
Yeah.
You can sell that guitar and take the money and buy your staff pizza.
Yeah.
You could do so much good, and so looking for opportunities is something that we all should do as store owners to say, what can I do And it doesn't have to be, it costs you a ton of money. It doesn't have to cost you anything. What can I do for the community? How many of you guys would be willing to go down to the local school that is having a car wash for the band department and go, I'm going to go wash cars for 3 hours?
That's right.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
There's nothing. And then the band director goes, what are you doing here? Man, I own this music store down the road. I'm into band. I was in band when I was in school, and I just want to come down and help.
Absolutely.
It doesn't take nothing. A couple hours.
Yeah.
Or come and bring them soft drinks or donuts or something. I mean, that's the kind of things that we need to be looking for, because again, it betters those people.
Yeah.
It endears them to you. You feel better for it. You're actually, your vision, you're casting a vision that is so much further than this is my bubble and me. How shallow are people that's their focus? They never ever accomplish what they potentially could.
Yeah, well, and business owners, a lot of times, it can be easy to kind of get closed in your own bubble.
Yeah, I agree.
You feel like the walls are closing in. Maybe money's tight, things like that. But
another good reason to find things that don't cost money or are free.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
But the best thing to do to try to bust out past that is to try to see how you can get involved and give things back. And I would say, for 95% of the business, store owners out there and business owners out there, that would reflect their core values.
I agree.
They want to
absolutely.
give back.
Absolutely.
They might just not feel like, man, I just
know
can't.
how.
I just don't know how.
Sure,
I don't see the opportunity.
Well, hopefully
and
with
that
the
needs to be an
topic that we're
encouragement.
talking about, that they'll sit there and think about it. It could be anything.
Yeah.
I mean, again, so much of this is just to get people thinking.
Yeah.
It's not that we know everything, that we're coming down. It's nothing negative. This is all positive. Maybe they could sit there and think, what can I do?
Yeah.
Send us ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to hear ideas because we have some great dealers. There's great people listening to it that are super, super smart. We're just a couple knuckleheads that have a few microphones and a couple cameras, and we shouldn't use cameras, but we do. But anyways, send us ideas. I want to hear ideas.
And that's good. And if you're listening to this and you see those opportunities, hey, take the opportunity.
Yes.
Get involved. If you see people in need that are around you, students or people walking into your store, man, just do
help
it.
people.
Just
help
figure
people.
out how you can do
absolutely.
that. If you want the core values of your business to be, prevalent or to be known, then make them come out.
Well, what a better way, and again, I say this, but I don't want to sound like you do it for other people to see, but what a great example for you to do things and your staff see that you're that type of person.
That's right.
I mean, you can help people that are in need, and you help them out. Yeah. You have a guitar that you don't have no money into it or very little of it, that you can help somebody that can't help themselves.
That's right.
Or whatever it is. It's great for their employees, because that's the best teaching tool that we have is to have people see you do the right thing.
Yeah, well, and if we're going to bring it back to a little bit of business, a lot of times when you talk to manufacturers, or you talk to businesses, or you talk to people who know businesses, nobody ever goes, "Oh yeah, I know that guy. He sells a lot of guitars."
Yeah.
No, nobody really talks like that. People go, "Oh yeah, I know that guy. Man, he's a great guy. We actually sat down and had a great conversation when he told me about this."
It's kind of crazy. Go ahead. I don't mean to interrupt you.
Well, but that's it. I mean,
but I agree with that.
Those are the reflections that people
and that's
see.
kind of the story. I had somebody in my office the other day that was a very powerful person, and you've heard this story, but I was talking about things, and we were just sharing things, and then he said, "I want to help you." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And he goes, "I've been listening to you for like the last 15 and 20 minutes, and you never brought up yourself. You were bringing up other people."
Yeah.
And I stopped and thought about it, and we were bragging. I was bragging about employees. I was bragging about things that this person did and this person, and then it compelled him to want to help me, which helps us as a company.
Yeah.
And now I bring it up as not to brag about it. I bring it up as it was eye-opening, because I need to do more of that.
Yeah.
I need to be more mindful of that. And if we have employees, man, we could go up to somebody and say, "You did a great job today. I appreciate you." I was talking about an employee the other day, and I just said, "Hey, you know what, man? I really appreciate you."
Yeah.
And he just stopped for a minute and he just froze. And then you could see it processing. Mm-hmm. Who knows how many times that's happened in his life?
Yeah.
Maybe it should have happened
Maybe
200 times.
Yeah.
But somebody never, ever stopped to say, I appreciate you. You know what that can do on the back end? I don't need anything from that. Mm-hmm. But I guarantee you when he's working harder.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And even if you're sitting there as a store owner, sitting here thinking about all of this, the big argument over the last several years is, I'm just a small store. I can't compete with the big box stores.
Wow.
Well, but one of the things that we've always tried to say is the big box stores has always had a problem with connecting and charity and being that type of person on the level with people walking in their store. I mean, everybody goes, hey, I walked into this big box store
and hated it. No one talked to me.
Nobody talked to me. Or I was in there for 15 minutes and somebody said hello to me when I was walking back out the door.
Yes.
But this is an opportunity. This is how you grow your business. This is where you can get a chance for, the philosophy of your business is going to help you grow because you can deliver something that they can't.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and I think a lot of times we look at what we don't have, or we think that we don't have, but a lot of times we need to look and see what we really do have.
Yeah.
We have great customer service.
Yep.
We have great employees that are kind to people, that are helping people, that are greeting people. You know how powerful that is? Mm-hmm. Because there are people that walk into other places that no one talks to them.
Yeah.
And they act like they don't want their business. And somebody walking into another establishment and you have a good employee or even yourself saying, how are you doing today?
Yeah.
That's stuff that doesn't cost us a penny, but we can do it.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. That should be part of our model. If we have people and staff that don't do that, we just need to sit down and have a heart-to-heart with them. Mm-hmm. But you're right. If we do have a small music store, we shouldn't look at what we don't have, but we should sit there and think about what we do have.
That's right. And if you don't have those things, then that's what you need to be doing this year.
What I just said. Did you catch that?
Say it again?
No, I'm not going to. I forgot.
I can't remember what it was. Ian, we're going to need you to rewind.
Yeah. If you're listening, just hit rewind or something.
Something like that. But it was brilliant, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's about all I've got. I mean, I think we covered a lot. This is a time for people to think about and reflect, self-reflection on their business, personally. What do you do? Yeah. And
I hope everybody listening understand that what we're talking about, none of this is to be perceived as we're coming down on anybody or we have all the ideas or we know what it's nothing like that. Yeah. We truly, truly, truly want people to reflect on themselves, better themselves, and think of ways that they can improve on themselves. And with that, they can also improve on the people around them. Yeah. This is something, even though it's the first of the year, it shouldn't be just for the first of the year. It's something that we need to be doing every day. Yeah. That's my goal. I really, really, really want to be a better person every day of the week. Yeah. I want to learn. I want to grow. There's so much room for improvement in my life. And there's so much that I feel like I can offer. And there's also so much more that I can offer if I improve myself. Yes. And so that's what I need to do, is I needed to make a bigger goal for myself to increase my learning, increase my self-awareness, and all the attributes that I view as positive, to increase those so I can do it for myself, but also that I have something to give away. Yeah, absolutely. Everybody just needs to take some time and reflect on that and see how they need to implement that in their own life. I agree. So anyways, but man, it was a great conversation. Yeah. So hopefully this is a good kind of a good catapult going in through first quarter. Man, words of encouragement for everybody. I think it is, and I think this could be a great year if we decide. It's right. And I think that no matter the store, no matter the situation, no matter what the uphill climb is, man, one bite at a time. Yeah. We can do it. We can, part of what we need to do, and we're going to wind down, and I don't want to start this back up, is we need to reflect and then get out of this year and look back and say, man, I accomplished a ton of stuff. That's right. And how we do that is a little bit all the time.
That's right.
So whether that's weekly goals, whatever it is, set things that you want to accomplish in your personal and your business life and just work on it, and work on it and accomplish it. And then you can start marking things off so you can reflect back on the year and go, wow.
Yeah.
19 was a great year.
That's right. That's exactly right. So, and if there's any way, hey, the music retail show at gmail.com. Of course, we always want people to,
should we announce that we have a website? Have we done that yet?
themusicretailshow.com.
Yes.
It is .com, right? It is .com.
Yeah, for anybody watching, they just looked away.
That's right.
Is that what they call like the third wall in movie stuff?
Right.
I don't know.
Ian is the third wall.
He's the third wall. But yes.
Wait, Ian's the fourth wall, he just said. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, it's the fourth wall.
Okay.
Yeah. Did he? No, I wasn't going to say anything like, did he flip you off?
I don't know.
And I don't want to come across as if I would say something like that.
Yeah, because you never would. Yeah.
Hey, what were we talking about?
I don't even know.
Are you winding down?
We're done.
Okay,
we're done. All right, everybody. Hey.
Have a great year, everybody.
That's right.
We'll see you next year.
Sounds good.
No, we'll see you later.
The Music Retail Show.